I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Phillip Johnson Richardson, aka Phil, and welcome to the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Theater Podcast. Hello if you are brand new and welcome back if you're not. I am Alan Seals and our guest for this episode is Phillip Johnson Richardson, who until November 30th, it was just announced he's leaving Hell's Kitchen. You got to go see him in the show as Nuck. But today's conversation goes straight into the heart of so much. We talk about what it means to be a young black man showing vulnerability on a Broadway stage and this quiet pressure to be perfect and how identity, representation, and belonging shape the work you bring into the room. And we kind of just unpack the headspace behind choosing when to leave a show and how to protect your mental health while the machine just keeps on moving. Broadway hopefully will never stop. And the difference between chasing validation and building a life that feels, real and true. We also get into his creative process behind making new music. He's a musician on his own right, finding your own sound in a city that never stops talking, and the practical and unglamorous ways you keep going in New York without kind of losing your center. Phillip is honest and grounded, and I think you're just going to hear yourself a lot. And I hope that all of you can hear yourself in a lot of it. Just again, his final performance in Hell's Kitchen is November 30th, so if you want to go see him, now is the time. Find me on social media, leave a rating and a review if you're listening on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else that takes ratings. Share this with a friend. You can watch the video of this episode on Spotify or Patreon. And as always, everybody please enjoy this episode with Phillip Johnson Richardson.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
Today's guest made his Broadway debut as the Tin Man in The Wiz and has on-screen credits that include Sharper, Apple TV's Little Voice, The Last OG, Chicago PD, Proven Innocent, and The Other Two. He currently stars as Nuck in Hell's Kitchen on Broadway with now his final performance. Oh, it makes me sad. Just announced his final performance is coming up on November 30th, so you gotta go see him in the show before he leaves. Phillip Johnson Richardson, welcome to the Theater Podcast.
What's going on?
Dude, it was just announced as we're recording this, like yesterday, it was just announced that you're leaving the show. Like, is this like a bittersweet kind of moment or what's going on?
It definitely is bittersweet. One thing about the whole theater thing is that it takes a lot out of you. So for me to have done a show for a year in the same place, in the same environment, like it's a lot for me. So I am happy to leave the show and to like allow someone else to step into the role and to allow myself to like be open to other opportunities. But it's bitter also because, I'm leaving an amazing cast, an amazing show too. I didn't really want to do another musical, and then I saw this musical and felt like I had to. So I think all those feelings are encompassed in my departure, but it's time to see what's next, in my life.
All right, well, we're definitely going to come back to Hell's Kitchen, but you just said something interesting that you weren't sure you wanted to do another musical. Like, The Wiz, the lead up to Broadway was kind of intense for all of you because you were doing this national tour pre-Broadway, and then Broadway, we'll put in air quotes, kind of like is the final stop of, the national tour, but then it was this permanent residency in the Marquee.
Yeah.
Like, were you just like freaking tired?
Yeah, no, that I had never experienced anything like that. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if we were not coming to Broadway. I don't know if I would have been like, yeah, let's do that. That was kind of within the experience, but they were like, hey, so we're going to do this pre-national tour. I think we did 13 cities in 6 months.
Yeah.
And we traveled, we did like a few 1 weekers. We did some sit downs. And I liked it because it kind of gave us some time to like sort of find our show and find our chemistry before we got to New York, because New York is like, that's the big leagues. You come to New York, everybody's like, all right, what y'all got working on? You know what I'm saying? So, and then we got to New York, I think we kind of sort of found our groove, but it was very intense. And like a lot of us didn't live in New York at the time. So I didn't even live in New York at the time. Before the tour, I lived in my hometown, which is Charlotte, North Carolina. And so we did a tour, and then I had like 2 weeks off. I had to find my apartment, move into my apartment, and then we rehearsed, I think, for like a week, and then we went right to Broadway. So it was kind of crazy, but I'm very glad that I did that. But that was so intense and so like a lot that I was like, I don't know. And theater, theater is just a lot. 8 shows a week, it's a lot. You get one day off, and it's like consistently tired. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, we hear that all the time. It's just like your day off even really isn't even your day off because you're doing press, or you got to like go do this other workshop, or you're going to go rehearse for something else, or whatever the case is. Like you just don't get to sit down, right?
No.
Like you're not doing the show, but even when you're outside of the show, you got to watch your voice, and you can't stay out too late, and you don't want to go to like a party and be like screaming and going crazy or something, So,
Yep.
Like it's a tough life. It is a very tough life. But speaking of like, you said Charlotte, North Carolina. Do you know where Wilkesboro is? North Wilkesboro?
Do I know that? No, I don't think so. That's where you from?
That's where I'm from. I'm from up. It's west of Winston-Salem.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's nice.
Yeah. So you go up 77, make a left, go west on 421, and it smacks right into my hometown.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
North Carolina boys. And do you live in New York too?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
Okay, man. Me too.
Yeah, I've been here for 19-ish years now, and seeing Broadway ever since I got here. And it's been interesting. It's been really interesting to see the evolution. As like I moved here in 2007. There was no, like, it was so rare to get tickets online. I still went to TKTS because that was the only way to get cheap tickets. Like, this is before everything. Anyway, I'm dating myself a little bit, but
no. But it's a very different experience now. Broadway is very like you can just like go online, apply for the lottery, and and all these.
Yeah, you don't
things.
have to leave. Like Hamilton and other shows, they have apps, and I mean, I'm nothing against this, but like, I'm like, okay, what? I'm
People
gonna
used
just
to
enter all the
camp
apps.
out and see shows. People used to have to like camp out and until like whenever the rush ticket would open. So like there would be lines out there for like 5 o'clock in the morning or something like that, which is nuts.
Yeah. Like in Charlotte though, what got you into performing? What was your kind of catalyst to be like, whoa, I can sing, I can dance, I can, like, what is all this?
Trauma. No, I'm joking.
It would not be uncommon.
No. I think my initial thing was that like I never really like I used to play sports as most young Black kids do. So I played sports for a little bit, and I was never really like super competitive at it because it was never really like I didn't really have to build for it. I was always like kind of not short. I was like average height. I was really small, really scrawny kind of sort of thing. And then I did The Wiz in my 7th grade year. I was 12 years old. And they were doing the musical at my middle school. My mom was like, you should audition for it. And I was like, all right, cool. So I wanted to be the Scarecrow and audition for it. I ended up not getting Scarecrow, but I ended up being in the chorus. But I ended up having a lot of fun backstage, and just the people I was around, I was like, oh, this shit is kind of fun. So after that, I kind of sort of was like, okay, let me do the next musical. And I ended up doing Bye Bye Birdie my 8th grade year. And I didn't get Conrad Birdie, but I was the understudy for Conrad Birdie when I should have been the Conrad Birdie, but that's a conversation for a different time. And I ended up playing like the little brother. I ended up sharing the role with this other dude named Amir. And random funny story, the guy who ended up playing Conrad Birdie is Nick Cannon's brother. I went to school with Nick Cannon's brother.
No kidding.
Yeah, and he played Conrad Birdie. He was like super tall, and he was in like this honors like theater class. It was like whatever, dude. I don't care. But we're cool to this day. So. And then after that,
sure. Wink, 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 wink.
No, we are cool. I was 13, you know what I'm saying? No, I was 12. No, how was I? I was 13. So anyway, I ended up, a lot of my friends ended up going to this arts high school. It was this public arts high school in Charlotte, North Carolina, called Northwest School of the Arts. And they were like, oh, we're all going to audition for it, and and it sounds really fun. And it was like either that or I go to like my home school. And I was like, and I've always not gone to my homeschool because my mom was super adamant about me having like a decent education. So I ended up auditioning for the school, and I played the clarinet at the time. So I auditioned for the clarinet part, and so I got it. I got in, and I auditioned for the theater part, and I got in, and I was like, all right, cool. So I'm going to this art school. And then it like changed my life, changed the whole trajectory of my life. I found something that I was like really good at, or at least had a lot of potential in. And I had a teacher that really believed in me. His name is Corey D. Mitchell. He's actually the first educator to win the Tony Award for education. He's
kidding.
The first one. Yeah. If you like look him up, that's like he has like a Tony speak and everything.
Shout out to Tony.
Shout out to Tony, my dog. So I had a bunch of and yeah, it's just I had a lot of things. And also I have to mention too my theater teacher who recently passed away. Her name is Bonnie Fraker. She recently passed away. God rest her soul. She was also another theater teacher that I had at my high school. But those people changed the trajectory of my life, and then I kind of like went to school for it and did this whole thing, and I just worked my ass off and got to this point, and I'm still working my ass off right now.
That is it's an interesting story. I mean, like, still though, what, like, you auditioned for The Wiz, but why even think you could sing? What told you, like, you know what, I'm gonna try this thing?
I mean, I feel like I had been singing around the house. Like, I used to always listen to music. I used to always like hum to myself, but I never really like knew that it was anything that I could do until that moment where it was like a perchance moment where it was like, my mom was like, you should audition for this. And also The Wiz, The Wiz was our favorite movie of all time. So she was like, you should audition for it. This would be amazing. This would be dope. So then I just did. And then I just had a really good time. But there was no thing, and I was 12, so I also, like, in the grand scheme of like doing theater and singing, I felt like I was kind of late to the game because everybody who had been doing it since they were like 6 or 7. So I was like years behind. So there was no like, I'm gonna be a professional. I just was like, oh, this sounds like fun. It sounds cool. And then it ended up being really fun. And I ended up being like, okay, cool. I'm behind everybody when I got to high school because everybody was so good. So I was like, all right, I'm going to step my fucking game up and be like the best that I can be at it. And then, through hard work and perchance and all these things, I ended up, being here. So I am.
Well, so the revival of The Wiz that just happened that you were part of, I mean, this is the first revival in 50 years, I want to say,
Yeah.
right? And so it's a big deal. And you didn't live in New York. How did you even come across this audition? How did it find its way to you?
Oh man, I found my way to it. I'll tell you that. I've worked pretty consistently, but I'd never been on Broadway, and I was also pretty adamant about certain roles that I didn't want to do, certain things that I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. So when I saw that The Wiz was coming, I was like, okay, here's a perfect chance to be represented in the way that I would like to be represented. And it's such an iconic show. I felt like it was kind of a no-brainer. So at the time, I was actually living in the Bay Area with my family out there. And I was living in this like little side room, like really close to my aunt and my uncle, their room. And I was broke. I was working at Costco. I was really unhappy. My car had just gotten broken into.
Oh no.
And I saw that The Wiz was coming back to Broadway. And I hit up my team and I said, yo, I need y'all to get on this. And they were like, we already on it. Don't even worry about it. I was like, all right, cool. And turns out that I knew the director and I also knew one of the producers and I knew the casting director, all these things. So I just kind of was like, all right. And so then I ended up going in for it in like February. So like a few months passed because, that's how it goes. They make an announcement, but then I think I had an audition that was going to come like maybe a month later. I found out about it. And then like maybe like 3 weeks or 2 weeks later, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go to this audition. And so I flew to New York on my own dime. And so you're not going to fly me up because, at this time there's no need for me to whatever.
Right.
So I flew into New York. I did my first audition. I fucking bombed it. Like it was bad. Like, and it wasn't bad, but it just was like, like when you're in something or like you're doing something and like you're mid doing the thing and you're like, oh shit, I just cracked. And now you're like overthinking. You're like, oh shit, like I don't really know where to go. That's where I was at. So I cracked in my audition on a big song. What would I do? And I was like, and then I just kind of like gave up on it, but I finished it out. And I was like, all right, y'all, thank y'all. And I went out to breakfast and I was like, yeah, that shit sucked. And I told my manager, I was like, yeah, it sucks. And then she called me back later and was like, hey, you're going to go in tomorrow. You're going to dance and you're going to sing again. They were, because I knew the casting directors. They were like, bro, like, we know you can do this, but you have to like not give up on yourself. And I was like, all right, which is like, that doesn't usually always happen. It usually is like, you fucked up and that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I went in the next day and I danced my ass off and then I killed the audition and then I got the offer for the workshop and then kind of was since history.
I think you're skipping over some important stuff. You already had a manager at this point too.
Oh yeah. I've had my manager since I graduated college. So I went to college and did like a showcase, and then I got an agent from that. Mind you, before all that, I personally was auditioning a lot. So like I didn't have an agent until I graduated college. But before that, I was like auditioning. I was working professionally because I just was like, because of where I'm from and like I don't really know how to make it. I was like, I'm just gonna put my feet to the pavement and just go for it, whatever it is. And I'm just gonna keep going and going and going. So I just was like auditioning. I was messaging like anything. If I had an audition, because I used to audition for Hamilton, I sent in a tape like a while, like my freshman year of college. And I was like, hey, And so I got their email from that, and I just used to hit them up like, hey, do y'all have any auditions? I used to go to the Actors Equity website because I was an equity member and just be like looking at auditions. Like, can I make this audition in New York? Can I make this audition over here? Can I send in the tape for that? I just was always doing that. Actorsaccess.com, like all that shit. I was really on it. I was kind of obsessive about it.
So you were like nonstop. You were a dog with a bone, you know, like after this whole thing, and then you got it, and now you're saying you're not sure if you want to do it again. You're like, I don't want to do another musical.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, yeah, like that's how hard this thing can be. It can be really challenging, and like I also like I'm at this point where I want to continue to broaden my experience. Like I've done a lot of TV and film, and that's where I feel like I want to do a play now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to do other things. I don't want to just be stuck, because people get this thing where they get stuck and people are like, oh, you're a musical theater artist. I'm like, no, I'm an artist. I do any and everything. And that's kind of my whole identity as a performer, is that I do everything. I make my own music. I have my own merch. I do a bunch of other things. And you have to kind of sort of put it in people's face in order for them to like really believe and see that this is what you do. Otherwise, it's just like, oh no, you do this one thing really well, and that's what you do. So I'm like, no, I can do it all. So, but again, that all being said, I did see this Hell's Kitchen show and said, I have to do the show. Like, all that being said, I was like, yeah, okay, this one's a good one. I'm going to do this one. All right.
That's right. I was going to ask you if you make your own music. I mean, as we're watching, I can see you on video here. I was going to see like, what can I know about your personality better way I can see? So the back wheel of a bike. So they ride around Brooklyn. You got your guitar hanging up there. So you obviously make your own music. You love your hats. You display your hats. That means you love it.
Yeah, these are my hats too. Those are like
this is the merch you
my
make.
own. Yeah.
Wait, so what does that say? Glad Dad?
It says Glad Dad. Yeah.
Glad Dad. Yeah. So, but are you a dad?
I am not a dad. I don't want to get too morbid on here, but my father and my stepdad have both passed on.
I'm sorry.
And so it's all good, you know, it's what it is. And I wanted to, and because I make music, there's like a part of it where you have to kind of sort of make your own business about it. So I was like, I'm going to do merch, and I want to do something that like is an ode to like my father figures. And I also wanted to do something that wasn't attached specifically to my name, where it was just like Phil, like that's, because to me, I don't really like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, let me make a brand. And so I ended up partnering with a few people, and we figured out something and made this whole Glad Dad thing, because a lot of my fashion is based off of like my dad's like pictures and whatnot. So I was like, oh, it makes sense, like Happy Dad, and then we kind of like Dad Swag, then we kind of just put it and made it into Glad Dad, and then we did the phonetic thing, and it's actually been pretty decently successful. I feel like a lot of people in the theater community are like really supportive of it, which I appreciate. Shout out to all y'all. So and yeah, I'm just kind of doing my thing and seeing where it goes, see where it takes me. And it's all me. Like, you know, I send in the designs, and they send it back, and I pick the colors and all this stuff. And it's been really cool, man. And it's also something to like, because, you know, if you're a person that does, and you audition and you do all these things, you kind of have to like, you kind of got to be obsessive with that, but it's nice to have something else that you really care about as well, you know?
Yeah, not be the successes and failures of theater, because there's a lot more failures for most people than there are successes.
We can talk about that. We can dig real deep into that.
Let's go there.
That shit is real. That shit is real, man. And people, anytime I do like a masterclass or something like that, and I talk to like college kids or high school kids, I'm like, hey, if you think you don't want to do this, don't do this.
Yep.
Because you're going to have to like, every day you're going to have to convince yourself or tell yourself, I want to do this, and I'm going out for this audition because I love it, not because I want this job. Not because the job could change my life monetarily, not because of anything. I just love doing this. And that shit is hard every single day.
And that's one of those things too, where, like you were just saying, you got to have something else. I think you have to be a well-rounded person, in that if you just stake your whole identity on what jobs you've got or what successes you have, then again, in this industry, it's going to be a tough awakening when you move to New York. And if you come from a small town where you were a big fish in a small pond, you know, it's kind of a stereotype, but you come here and all of a sudden you just like turn right back around and go home, because you're not a well-rounded person. You need hobbies. You got to have stuff that makes you passionate, that gives you passion outside of just being on stage, even though being on stage is one of the greatest things in the world, I think.
It's incredible. There's no feeling like it, but at the end of the day, like you're saying, like there has to be something else that fuels what you do. And I think the beautiful thing about that is that like when you do walk into a room and there is something else that like, because people can feel that, people can sense that, like casting directors, anybody, like the regular people can just be like, oh yeah, like there's something about him or something about them that's just Like they don't care. Like this is not their life. And like, that is like attractive. That is beautiful because it's like, yeah, like I'm not about to, yeah, it's just a whole, there's nuances to it that I don't really want to get into, but it's not, it's cool. It's cool.
No,
I like doing my thing.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick commercial break. All right, everyone. Now we're back. Like, so when you've had a day when like everything's just like overworked and overburdened and you're like, oh man, I got to relax. Where do you go? Do you go to your music? Do you go to hat design? What do you do that's not musical theater?
Well, I have my dog. There's one thing. He's, as literally as you asked me this question, he sat right beside me. I have my dog. One thing, I don't even know if this is like kind of an answer to your question, but something that is important to me is like a home base and like having like for me, like having a comfortable home was really, 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 really important. And like this is the longest I've ever been in an apartment, like since I was 18, I think, and I've been here for since we did the Wiz. So that's like, it'll be 2 years in March.
Mm-hmm.
So that is important to me, like having a home base and being like, all right, cool. When I come home, I'm coming home. And I live far out in Brooklyn, which I know a lot of people like. People live in Harlem, people live in Midtown. I'm like, nah, fuck all that. I live in Brooklyn because I don't care about the travel. I don't care about none of that. I like going home and I like feeling like I have a neighborhood to go to. So there's that. I do like, sometimes I write music. I play video games. I do a lot of things. I like, a lot of my videos that you may see on Instagram are like kind of like brainchilds of my own thinking. It's very much of that. Like I have a lot of stuff. I have business cards that I made. Like I do a lot of stuff. Like it's just because like I enjoy what I do, but also like again, like we have talked about, I have to have a life outside of this. That rain is crazy.
Oh yeah, dude. I was gonna say, yeah, you and I, we are, as we're recording here, I think the first wave of that Hurricane Melissa just hit New York City.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was going to come to New York.
Pouring rain right now.
Jesus Christ.
So if you can hear this and I can't edit it out and post, sorry listeners, there is rain.
It is what it is.
Beating on my skylight right now. Imagine this is live theater, baby. You can't.
It's live theater. There we go.
That's right. Oh yeah, I can see it in your window back there too, man. It is nasty.
Yeah, it's crazy over there.
So then the Wiz goes through. It's great, and then I'm sure you got an offer to go on the post-Broadway tour, and then you decided to do Hell's Kitchen, though. But like, what was it about Hell's Kitchen that really brought you into that show?
Man, so there's a story behind that. My friend Chris Lee, who played the role before I did, who originated the role, and I've known him for years. He was like, yo, we was at a bar somewhere in Midtown. We was all kind of kicking it with the casts of each other. And he was like, yo, man, I'm leaving. You should come and see if you like could be a part of the show. And I was like, nah, I'm cool, man. I don't even want to do that. So then I ended up leaving, like the Wiz closed, and I ended up getting the audition for Hell's Kitchen. And my manager was just like, go see the show. So I ended up going to see the show. And I was like this whole time, like, arms crossed, all that. But then the show opened and like I started to like watch it and I was like, damn. It's the authenticity behind the show. It's like how New York it is unapologetically. It's how like it specifically with my character, it like it shows that like we can be vulnerable. But like, and I personally I've never seen a show where a young black man is vulnerable and he has his like pants sagging and it's not looked down upon. It's just like, hey, that's what he is. That's what he does. And like, he can and also be a love interest and be modern. Like something about like theaters that they love showing like older black people, or they love showing like black people in despair all the time. And I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that like we only exist in like the early 20s or like the 40s or something like that, where I'm like, no, there are modern black people, not modern people.
Yeah, everybody exists beyond the 40s. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's not modern, like, and anytime there's like a black character, it's like, oh, he's a colorblind. So it's like written like kind of sort of like ominously, where it's like, no, this is like, he's black. The character is black. He's supposed to be dark skinned too. Like it works when he's dark skinned. You know what I'm saying? So like that stuff means a lot to me. And representation means a lot. Like I had a young kid, he's probably maybe like 10, 11, maybe even 12. He came backstage. I think he was like a friend of someone's. And he was like crying just because he was like, I've just had like a lot of young black men, even just people see me and I'm like, oh shit, I never knew that was even possible. So it's just to me that to me is really important. because I was a young kid who was seeing theater, and I happened to see a show that like changed my life and made me want to do it. I saw Spring Awakening on the first row, and it was the first time I was like, oh, people sing like this on stage. Oh shit, I was 14. But you know what I'm saying? So like, imagine seeing somebody that looks exactly like you and is like, you know.
Yeah. No, I get that. And I mean, that's something big, I think, the Wiz in general, like even the original. The original movie, right? From however many years ago, the movie and the original show, to bring something that is an all black cast to a notoriously kind of white business and have it be commercially successful. That's very unusual, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's really sad. It's really unfortunate.
No, it makes, I feel like people, I feel like representation within theater, within film, within TV is so important because, for example, I remember one time I was moving in Brooklyn, and this guy who do the Task Rabbit, he owned this truck, and he was from London, and he was like, dude, the only representation of black people I've seen was the 50 Cent movie Get Rich or Die Trying. And I was like, holy shit, that's crazy, because that is such a specific, that's like a 50 Cent's from Queens, Jamaica, Queens. So that's a very specific version of black people that you're seeing.
Yeah.
And I remember going to school, and like I had a friend who I was in school with, and he was like, yeah, I never had a black friend until like I met you and like a few other people. And I was like, oh my God, and it's not on some like he just wasn't around people. Like if you're not raised in a community that like is around black people, then like you just don't have, you know, I don't know what that community feel like because I was raised around black people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like for people, I can't be mad at people. So I'm like, okay, I think there's a level of like prejudice that can be stripped away from you if you see somebody black in love, you see somebody black who talks a certain way, who moves a certain way, and you see that they're human with emotions. You're like, oh, I think it just opens your brain to something and it can create a conversation within your brain to like, oh shit, maybe this is something that I do have a prejudice attached to, you know?
That's what it is. It's breaking unconscious bias, I think, a little bit.
Yes. And I feel like people don't realize that you have a conscious bias until you think about it. Because also there's so much stuff happening in the world that you don't think about anything that doesn't involve you. So when you're forced to, just through art, I think that it can create a gateway to like a conversation with yourself and a conversation with other people. And I'm very happy to be part of that in that way. And I think, and also Alicia's, just side note, Alicia's very involved with the show. So like,
is she still involved?
Yeah.
Wow.
We did an encore session the other day, and I sang a song with her. I sang Diary, which is absolutely insane because that's one of my favorite Alicia Keys songs, and I got to sing it with Alicia Keys. That's like, I don't feel like people really get to like say things like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy.
You always have that. You've always got that memory, you know?
Yeah. And it's on camera too. So like, if anybody tries that, I'll be like, no, it exists. No, it's right here.
I wasn't making that up.
Yeah, literally.
No, that's cool. That's really cool. Like to work with somebody like that. And I think I met Alicia indirectly a couple times, like not in person, but virtually, like you and I are meeting now. And she always seems like such a grounded person to just like, you know what, I'm going to do my thing. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, there's the door. But she just like is unapologetically, and not in a mean way, but unapologetically herself. And just she sees her vision and she just goes out and creates it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's kind of how you have to be in the entertainment industry, and specifically probably the age that she came up in, that was so, it was different. But she is she's very, 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 very like a calming presence to be around. Anytime I've seen her, and I haven't had long, lengthy conversations with her, but she just is very, I'm like, oh, I like you a lot. Like, not only do I like your music, because I can separate, but like, I was like, oh no, I like you. You're a cool person.
Did she ever talk to you about like, was there a real life Nuck in her life that kind of like influenced her at that point? I mean, because Hell's Kitchen is pretty autobiographical.
Yeah, so there's some things that are like kind of like flubbed a little bit, but or exaggerated. But there's a book I think that she wrote. I don't exactly know the name of it, but there's a book that she wrote that I was supposed to read for which I started to read, but then I was like, I'm going to not, because I don't want to attach too many things to this character that I don't know about. So, and I kind of want to create my own character. But there is a book that she wrote that I do think, I don't know much about the Nut character in real life. But I'm sure that like Michael Graff could tell you more that I would be able to tell you, because he's, had conversations and whatnot.
Yeah. Is it different for you to step into to replace in Hell's Kitchen versus originating it, the Tin Man and the Wiz, because it was, it's considered new work now because Amber Ruffin, has changed the script enough and enough changes were made so that it was, it's considered new work by, I guess, legal definitions. It's not So it's not the original IP from 50 years ago. But how was that sort of approached for you in originating this Tin Man versus replacing, this machine that is Hell's Kitchen?
That's also part of the reason that I kind of didn't want to do Hell's Kitchen too, because I, at the time, was like, I don't want to replace anybody. I don't want to do that. But then I looked at my bank account. No, no, I'm joking. No, but I literally, no, but that's kind of like a thing for artists too, where it's like, for me personally, I don't want to say just for artists, but there are some artists who are like me in that way where we don't want to replace. I want to create, which is like, I've made that very clear kind of sort of in my career. I was like, I would much rather create something than replace. But the thing I liked about this and throughout the audition process, Michael Greif was very much like, what do you like, kind of like allowing me to be myself, allowing me to do my thing. Like I did see the show before my audition. So I had like kind of the world I was in. I knew kind of sort of where to go with it, but I was able to like kind of create and put my own thing on it, put my own spin on it, which was nice. And then you kind of look at the bright side of things too, where like, and I saw the show a few more times and I was like, okay, there are things that he does there that I actually really enjoy and I can go further with that. And there are things that he's doing right there that I like kind of want to change up. So it's like, I think you can come in, like, I hope the guy who comes in, Lamont actually is my friend, I hope he comes in and does things better than I do, because it's like, there is groundwork here.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you are able to just go and do it like differently and hopefully expand on it. Not even better, but just expand on what that is. So, yeah, like I think that it's a lot easier. It's a lot harder to like originate. It's a lot harder to originate something because you have to do a lot of things. And then like somebody can just come and do it more nuanced than you, which is like, you know what I'm saying? Like kind of the beautiful thing about it. Like I think I've heard some of the, let me give, I think his name is D. Jerome, do the shout out on the tour of the Wiz right now. The song What Would I Do, which is like the really popular like soulful song in the second act, he sings that shit like I don't want to say better, but it's so like it's really, really fucking good. Like it's really, 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 really good. And I've heard it, I'll be like, damn, he took what I did and soared with it. You know what I'm saying? And as you should though. I think that's kind of the beauty of what it is. And if you're like, I feel like not a super duper egotistical person, it's like, nah, like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, it's kind of passing the torch. Yeah, it's you walked so he could run. That kind of cliche thing, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, totally. I totally get it. And it's one of those things where like you got to be the best you that you are. So obviously the show's in good shape, the character's in good shape because you put it into a place where it works and it worked well. And then somebody comes in and be like, and it's going to change. It's going to adapt to every person. It's going to adapt to every audience because the audience is always the final character in every performance. And that's different every single night. Yep. Yeah. So I totally get that. And I think that's really strong of you to be able to, even now early in your career, objectively look at it and be like, you know what? Like if someone does it better than me, great. Like happy for them. I'm going to go do my own thing again. Right.
Yeah.
That was always in there, that kind of like lack of ego, or something you had to work on?
I mean, I think that, so like there's one side of it where it's like that, and there's the other side where it's like, damn. And I talk about this a lot too with like my circle, where I'm like, I'm not like a jealous person. I definitely do see things and I see people and I'm like, I want to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think I am able to do that. But then, and I think for a while, like there was a hint of just like, why am I not doing that? And I'm just as talented. So then as I got older and I started to realize that like everything happens for a reason, I wasn't ready for this in the season. So like now that I'm older and I'll be 30 next year, which is fucking crazy. Like time really don't stop.
Mm-mm.
But now that I'm about to be 30, I'm a little like, oh shit, if it's not meant for me right now, then it's just not meant for me. And there is something further down the line that I will be fine. Like as the more I have been able to like continue to like jump and free fall and kind of land on my feet, I'm like, all right, and look around and be like, all right, ain't nothing broken, I'm chilling. Like I think the more I've been able to be like, oh, okay, cool. And it was never like, even the way that things manifest in my brain was always like, I was never like jealous of any, like I said, never jealous of anybody. It just was like, I want to be doing what they're doing because I have that talent too. And so it's more like and I think that's a very common artist thing too. But the hoping is that as you get older, you're able to like sort of change the way you think about it. And I think I have done a really good job at that. And like there are people that I audition with all the time, or that I'll see in an audition room, or that I'll see like, and I'll ask like, oh, did you go out for this? And I have like a friend that me and him, every time we see each other in audition room, we literally, and we've talked about this, you know, I've been in his crib and everything. We go, okay, now we just got to go crazy. And whoever it's supposed to be for is supposed to be for, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like, and it's a good, but it's healthy competition. I feel like as you get older, it's healthy competition. And like, and the problem with this industry is that like, it also kind of banks on like your livelihood too. So like, I think as long as you are able to like know and go in your brain and go, all right, I know that this thing could like change my life. I know that if I book this job, I could be a Tony Award winner, or I could be like an Emmy Award winner, or all these things. I know that could happen, but it also might not happen. And like, if he gets it, then it's meant for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just have to continue to like, you know, remind myself of that. So then like, I'm like, all right, yeah, bro, there's no ego in this. And then also like, there are things that you're better at than that I'm better at, that I'm not great at, that I'm better at than that you're not great at. You know what I'm saying? Like so yeah, when it comes to my friends, I really just be happy for my friends though too. All that being said, that was a long-winded answer to get to a short point.
Oh no, I get it. And so changing subject slightly, you said you weren't in New York before you came here for The Wiz, but you've been like a series regular on Little Voice and guested on shows, you know, like Chicago PD, The Last OG, Proven Innocent, the other two. Like, when did you film all that? When did you, where did that all come in? Because you went straight from The Wiz to Hell's Kitchen.
So that stuff was like way back, like pre-pandemic. The Little Voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did that when I was in like my early 20s, which is so crazy that I can say that, and it like is a past statement. Like that shit really blows my mind. I'm like, damn, I'm really like, but it's beautiful too. I think that the more time goes, I'm like, oh wow, I'm excited for my 30s. I think my 30s is going to be transformative for myself. But no, I did. So I was in actually the Hamilton. So this is my first time replacing. When I first graduated school, all the stuff where I was telling you about earlier, and where I like was sending in auditions and whatnot. I auditioned for Hamilton like my freshman year of college when the show was firstly new, and I think they were just trying to get people to like who could be in the show other than the original cast. So I was like 19 sending in the video, and then by the time my senior year came out, I was messaging back and forth with Telsey. And they were like, hey, can you come in for this immediate replacement in Chicago? And then I ended up booking Hamilton in Chicago. So I did that. And while I was in Chicago, I booked Chicago PD, and I filmed for like a week for that in like December of my time out there. And it ended up being like a really cool episode. Like it was like the whole episode was really like fun. It was my first time, the longest I've ever filmed anything. Excuse me. And then I moved back to the city in February, and then, I booked this show that ended up not going to Broadway. It was supposed to go to Broadway. We had this workshop. It was like all these producers attached. Didn't end up happening, and then I ended up booking Little Voice the summer of 2019, and then I wrapped it in November, and then I just kind of like, and then COVID happened. So and then I've filmed other things here and there. But film has always sort of been on my radar, and I always really wanted to do it. So, and my team is really adamant and heard me out on that. And it was like, all right, cool. We're going to push you for this, and we're going to continue to do this, which now I've also filmed a few things while I was in Hell's Kitchen as well, which was really beautiful. So yeah, man, I'm just like, if there's something I want to do, I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out how to do it. I don't know how, but I'm going to figure out how to do it. So, that's been like kind of sort of how it's gone.
That's awesome. But so, once you have more time after November 30th, like who do you want to collaborate with? Who do you want to, are you looking to work with others to create something new? Or are you going to go in a cave and come out with your next opus?
I have absolutely no clue. That's because I had a feeling you were going to ask me something like that. And I was like, let me try to get like some cool ass answer in my head. I don't know, man. I really don't know. Like I have absolutely no clue, which is the scariest thing and also the most beautiful thing that can happen to you as an artist, because you have to allow things to be like, hey, it's going to be what it's going to be. like you can't force anything. The more I am in this industry, I realize that like, and I learned that like there is nothing that can be forced. Even if I want something to happen so bad, it just won't happen sometimes. And the more you can let that go, I think the better off you are. So I kind of am just like, I have a bunch of music out. I did, and also throughout all this stuff too, I've been like recording music like in the theater, like literally in my dressing room, or I record in my house. I have like a studio set up right behind the camera. So I would just like have my engineer come and we would just record a bunch of stuff. I recorded an entire like mixtape EP kind of thing. And it sounds really good. I'm really happy about it. And it's all on all these platforms. And I recorded a bunch of singles, and I'm just kind of like continuously doing things because I'm like, the more I work, I feel like it's opening opportunities for me to like, I don't know. I don't even know. It's just opening opportunities that I can't even see that far in the future. So I'm just kind of gonna let myself do what it do. Like, I really don't know what's going on.
No, that's a good answer.
So, yeah.
That's a solid answer. And I wouldn't feel bad about it. I mean, literally just like you're building the doors that eventually you're going to be able to walk through. And that's more than a lot of people can say.
Yeah. And you kind of sometimes got to do it blindly. You kind of have to be a little delusional about it. Because otherwise, if you try to like plan, it's like, bro, I've tried to plan things in my life and I have no clue where it's going to lead me. So I'm very happy to be able to like have that mindset on it too. It's scary though. It is very scary, I will say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. I always say that.
You know? That's very true. I agree.
We're going to take a quick break for a few commercials. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the episode. All right. So we're going to wind up. We're going to wind down and wrap up with a little game, plot in 60 seconds here. So I've got 60 seconds up on the screen, and I have a list of 17 popular musicals. You're going to give me a number 1 through 17. And then that will choose a show from my list to which you then give me the plot in 60 seconds or less. And you can make it up if you don't know it.
All right, I was about to say you're going to be disappointed. All right, 12.
12 is, you're going to know this one. Wicked, go.
60 seconds.
This girl, you know what I'm saying? She's green, you feel me? She like go to the school, she meet this other girl, she not green, she popular, they pick on her, you feel me? And then they ended up getting cool, but then this girl really got powers for real.
45 seconds.
Right. And then she falls in love with the popular dude. And then there's the other girl who's handicapped. I don't really know where she fits in the story, but she's somewhere in there. And then and I think, ain't she like somebody's sister or something like that?
She's Alphabet's sister.
You don't know.
Remaining.
She has a sister, right? And then there's this other short dude too. Yeah. Little short dude. His name is Bach. You know what I'm saying? He's somewhere in there too, but he be chilling. You know what I'm saying? He a really good dude. And so then the girl get powers, and she like, you know what I'm saying? She gets her powers, and she kind of does what she does, and she turns into a wicked witch. You feel me? And then the other girl turns into like a queen or a prince or something like that, and she like floats. So yeah.
And she floats.
And then it turns into the Wiz. At the end, everything turns into the Wiz.
And at the end, it's the Wiz. Yay! I like that. All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Whew. All right, calm down a little bit. Whew. That's good. All right, three standard closing questions. These are a little bit easier. First one simply is just what motivates you.
Motivates me is my family. Period. Point blank.
All right. What advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path?
I always tell people to go with your gut. It's super cheesy, but like if you believe that this is something that you want to do or whatever it is that you want to do it and do it unapologetically. And trust yourself. And trust the people around you that really love you, and you'll know who loves you.
You'll know who loves you. All right. Hardest question. Last one. If you could only see one show for the rest of your life, but you can see it as many times as you want, what would you see?
I could only see one show. Hell's Kitchen. Duh. Come on, man.
All right.
Why would you even ask me that?
All right. So where can we find you online? Where can we get your merch and listen to your music? Plug all your spots. Everything is at Feels Good Music. PHILSGOOD Music. Feels Good Music. You can find everything there. I have a website. It's feelsgoodmusic.com. Through that, you can go to my merch store. And through that, you can find my music where you can stream me at PHIL, and there's a period at the end of it. So Phil period. And that's everything. That's kind of everything. Everything. If you type in Feels Good Music at Feels Good Music on line, on Google, you'll find me. All right. I'm gonna get a hat. I want one of those hats. I think
Please do.
They are.
I got you.
That's nice. All right. You can find me at theater_podcast on Threads, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I don't know why I'm there. Leave a rating, leave a review. Tell your friends. It helps the podcast grow. Please go see Phil before he leaves Hell's Kitchen on November 30th, but then also go back after November 30th and keep seeing it because it's just a great show. Phil, thank you so much, man. This has been a really fun conversation.
Thank you.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.